Today has been a very busy day. A lot of errands that I had to take care of. A lot of progress made today too. I love productive days. But I am very tired. So tired, in fact, that if I were to lay down in my bed behind me, I just go to sleep. Only time I do go to sleep is as if I am exhausted. If I'm not exhausted, I don't go to sleep. That's when the insomnia is the hardest. So it's good to burn energy. You have to. Your body's always doing it anyway. Before I get to the essay, because this is the essay video, I wanted to address the community guideline, like community flag strikes on my comment sections. I barely ever use my comment section. I barely ever pay attention to my comment sections. Um, the only thing I really care about is making sure people are informed about these, sources because whether or not you're having a good life does not matter in the grand scheme of things. There are too many people in the world who do not have a good life, and a lot of it is contributed to, well, lack of information. Information could change a whole lot about your life. Majority of the stuff I'm doing right now isn't thanks to you, it's thanks to my research and my health. So yeah, Coach Carlton, check him out. Guy knows what he's talking about and will give examples of how not to take care of your body. Anyway, moving on to the essay video. Um, Basically, it was my first year in the Marine Corps. Got out of basic, got out of my schoolhouse. That was the Bravo hazing event. I'll explain that later. Apparently, it was public information. I didn't know until a bit later on, but that's a whole different topic. Basically, it was my first time in the fleet. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you gotta be paying attention to these videos. I'm not gonna keep on reiterating the same thing. But basically, it was my first time in the fleet, and we were basically getting picked out. It was kind of very odd how they were doing it because apparently it was the seniors' um, kind of opportunity to pick specifically the guys they wanted, and I was unfortunately picked out by the sergeant I would be working with for at least a good chunk of the first year of my Marine Corps enlistment. And he already gave me red flags by the way he picked me out. It was solely on appearance alone, in which he clearly, as he got to know me, realized, oh, this guy doesn't look as he is. He's not the same on the inside as he on the outside. He really disliked the fact that I had ADHD and autism because if you know anyone with ADHD and autism, we're horrifically honest about things. We can't help ourselves. Thought comes into our mind, tell you about it. But basically, I won't forget my first description of my sergeant as he did kind of like an introductory speech for the squad at that time. And the way he described his goals and this was what the speech was. It wasn't like a how you guys doing, welcome to the fleet. It was this is what I want, this is what I'll do. And it's like, okay, I guess this is our direction now, because we didn't have much direction. We going off of this guy, and all this guy's talking about is how he wants to rise up the ranks and how if we do really good, we could get some very nice positions ourselves later on. And I'm just like, why does this man sound like a supervillain talking to his minions? And I just was like, okay, I'm just gonna not think too much about that. That's just a very weird, I don't know how to feel about that. And unfortunately, I guess I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Well, I didn't know how much I was gonna really be dealing with until I really got to know the man more than I wanted to in many variety of ways. Because unfortunately, he was my squad leader, so that meant that I would be working with him. No matter what I, felt about it, this is the person I'll be seeing in the morning and the afternoon, every day. And sometimes, basically 24 hours, not just morning and afternoon, but nighttime as well. And his PT schedule might as well have been 24 hours anyway. The man did not care about his men being able to rest or not. He only cared about pretty much torturing people. The man loved it. It was a very odd thing he loved to do. As I would tell guys during conversation, I'd be like, yeah, he's just a kid in the sandbox. And we're all his toys. He's just playing with us. And he's the type of kid that's gonna spit on his stuff if you try and take his toys away. So trust me, if someone wants you, he's gonna wreck you just so you're not as good as you used to be, and you can't be as of use to someone else. He doesn't like that. He made it very clear he only wanted the best because that helped him get higher up in the ranks. Well, I don't remember if this was the second or third day of me knowing him, but I was having a casual conversation. The problem, well, not even a problem. There are unique type of people all over the world, and if you don't give them the chance, you will never know how unique they really are. That's why I always talk about adjusting your schedule, adjusting your plans, so that you have the time to find opportunity. If you don't take the time to find opportunity, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to find anything, or if you do find something, it may be a detriment to your progress opposed to being an advantage. Now, back to him in particular. He was the type of person who could act like Mr. Rogers. Like, he would genuinely act like a kind, considerate leader. And that is what made him the most malicious person I ever known during my time in the Marine Corps, because it was that level of self-awareness that made him more frightening if you had never met him before. Thankfully for me, I learned very quickly his true nature. He will hide it from you, lull you into a false sense of security, like a predator. And for me, I was trying to get to know him. I was genuinely trying to understand my leader so that I can better adjust myself. And the man just, mid-conversation, right in front of the guy I acknowledged, yeah, you're my mentor because everything you tell me is super useful and I am so happy to have you. So right next to my mentor, him in front of me, him engaging in conversation. Mentor's not saying anything. He's just, like, he's enjoying the fact that we're having this dialogue. And I'm just enjoying getting to learn. And out of nowhere, the sergeant just grabbed my penis. He just grabbed it. Like as if he had all the rights in the world to do so. And Terry Crews actually talked about this during his sexual assault. He said that the experience was a shock. And if you've seen Terry Crews, he's a big guy. You know, he's not somebody to be messed with so easy. Even if he is an actor, that muscle is real. But Terry Crews made a very good point, and stating that you may think that a guy who's ready to fight or looks like he's ready to fight would just beat up somebody who does something like that. No, it's because it's so unexpected, it's so out of nowhere, it's so bizarre. It shocks whoever is being assaulted at that moment because it's assault. I didn't want that man to touch me. He touched me anyway. And I went into battle stance, but just like Terry Crews said, even though I went into battle stance, that's all I did. I didn't hit him. I just went into the stance ready to fight because he touched me out of nowhere. And even though I was in stance, I was hit with waves of confusion. I didn't understand what was happening. And my instincts took over, but the confusion was so strong that I was at a standstill. Pretty much I was just reactive. If he had continued trying to touch me, yes, I would have beat the mess out of him, but that didn't happen because he went into battle stance too, because he realized, oh wow, he's gonna fight me if I do this. And I'm like, yeah, don't touch people like that. You don't know me. I don't know you. You don't know which way I swing. You don't know anything. And this is a married man on top of it. But there's a lot more things I have to do. And this is just me contributing to the void of silence that is male problems. Because this man's response, and I'll leave you with this piece, this man's response was, Trump lets me do that. And that's going to be the title. And this is going to be a different message if you stayed long enough for this. Keep your distance from people. And I hate to say it like that, but an arm distance, actually an arm and a half distance, because they have to lunge at you to try and get to you. That's my advice because, well, I'm 30 years old and I don't have a single person in my life I trust. At all. I don't like people trying to touch me. Period. And with as a guy with ADHD and autism, I was already like that before, but I grew a tolerance. But the things that have happened in the past 10 years, well, I don't like people touching me. And I got AD, so sexually touching me is definitely not going to do anything, trust me. Anyway, don't keep people at a distance, but keep your ears open to listen to them at least, so that you can hear whether or not they're okay. And of course, that's up to you to figure out. No one can do that for you. Anyway, Eternia out. I got to get back to my research. Y'all have a good one, okay?